Travis Wayne Goodsell, getting more and more boxes opened as the day goes by, and a couple loads of laundry so far. I'm getting the prop band back together again. If you remember from the other apartment, I would have secret props in the background for those who were paying attention. So this one, an elderly woman replied saying, "It's a serpent! It's of the devil! It's Lucifer!" And obviously she's thinking of the story of the Garden of Eden, where the serpent tempts Eve and she falls and Adam takes all the credit for it. Rather than Moses' serpent, of which it was meant to illustrate. And then the Superman cap, a longtime subscriber, had sent me that, and it got captured and taken hostage in the storage unit, as when I went to get the stuff out of storage, if I didn't tell you, if it was in video 1, or if you didn't hear it, she had put another lock on my storage unit to keep me from accessing it, and then she was gone the day I moved, and so I had to spend over an hour freezing in the cold that morning, and it burns when it's cold, when they freeze. And another manager from another store had to come over. So there's other props that I've used. Beginning in 2017, I used t-shirts, because I had found out, after I made the discovery of Revelation chapter 12, sign in the heavens, and it might be a good idea to go over it now. It's been a few years, hasn't it? Revelation chapter 12. And we probably should go to the Joseph Smith translation version, because they added some information that other people do not know from this one. And it was my discovering of the date from Revelation 12, and being Mormon, knowing of the Joseph Smith translation. It's revision, technically, but they had to call it translation because the Community of Christ was already calling it the Revised Bible. And so, this doesn't belong to this church. None of Joseph Smith's works, not the Book of Mormon, belong to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because it's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It is not Joseph's church. Joseph's church belong all of the works of Joseph Smith. So, Nelson, if you're listening, or if somebody's going to pass on the word to you, give it back. It does not belong to you. You don't even know how to translate anyway. You're a big joke in regards to translation. I mean, let God prevail. That's the white supremacist translation. Ass. And then the chief cornerstone of the cornerstone. Oh dear God. Not a single translator in the universe makes that translation. So anyway, unless I digress down another path. Alright, so Revelation chapter 12, the Joseph Smith translation version. Translation not being translation, just a revision. So we start off with some additional information, and this is where the Kabbalah part comes in of Joseph Smith and the Jewish Kabbalah. And there appeared a great sign in heaven, in the likeness of things on earth. This is Jewish Kabbalah in the form of astrology, but don't think of it as astrology is currently defined. And don't think of it as astrotheology. Dear God, what a joke that is. It is astrology. Astrotheology is astrology. They try to say otherwise. They lie. Dear God. So, the signs in the heavens portray symbols, signs of events that are to occur on earth. That is not the same as astrology. Astrology forces a self-fulfilling prophecy of believers to force the events that happen. And I can go into the Assyrian king who went to battle against a kingdom in the Far East from him, and when they were in the battle, a total solar eclipse occurred. He called for his astrologers and was saying, "What the hell? I thought you said this was a good omen for me to go fighting." And then they figured it out, and went, "Oh, well, they were actually murdered." And then he hired new ones, and the new ones said, "Well, it's because we're in a different part of the world, and the solar eclipse only occurs in this area of the world, which means the solar eclipse is the omen for this king, and he's going to lose the battle, because solar eclipses refer to government collapse or the death of a king, as is understood by the ancients." And that's the difference between astrology and astrotheology, is that you don't force it. However, the king forced it in a panic, because the initial priests recommended that he get a peasant slave to be king for the day, and then murder him to fulfill the prophecy of the sign in the heavens. And oh my God. See, that's where it goes awry. See, the ancient original understanding, without the astrology, without the astrotheology, is that the signs and events on earth naturally correspond. Nothing is forced. No human forces things to happen in order to fulfill it. It just happens. And so over the years, you'll see that I do those videos. Well, no, you won't. You don't watch. I'm Travis Wayne Goodsell. Nobody cares about those. But that's what I'm trying to illustrate, is this precept right here. Because as a scientist, I have to test it. Joseph says, in the likeness of things on earth. Okay, let's test it. And I've tested it, and wow, it works. In fact, we just had one last week, and I did a video of it, and nobody cared. Actually, there are people that did care. That's the shortened, abbreviated version of the longer one that I did about the church being criminal and corrupt. And so that one is getting attention. Whether people are sticking to the end of that video is unclear. It's a short one. It's 2 or 3 minutes. So why can't you watch to the end? And so here we go with the sign in the heavens. This is not an actual event. A woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, on her head a crown of 12 stars. Okay? So now you need to know the constellations. Babylon is among the known earliest ones, but the Egyptians likewise had their constellations as well. So Orion, for example. The Egyptians referred to that area of stars as Osiris. Sirius, the star, where the three wise men from Orion, Osiris, point to Sirius, the star. The dog star is Horus. And on top of him is his mother, who gives birth to him, being underneath. And Isis is now gone from that section of the constellations, the stars. And it's pretty much a blank space in that area. There's nothing that I know of that's in there. And if I check it, I'll end up deleting the video or stopping the video. So I don't want to risk that right at the moment. Although I could, well, I'd have to find one that had Sirius in it. But anyway. And so what you see here is the sun in the constellation of a woman. That is Virgo. A virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Yeah, that's the one. That's what John's talking about here. He's talking about the birth, but it's a sign in the heavens. It's the latter day beginning, because John in Revelation 19 gives us the death sign. And it's in 2024, 8 April. And so I'm jumping ahead for you and skipping out how I did all the work to get there, because it involves the real science of astronomy to figure this out. And I cheat with the Stellarium program, my Urim and Thummim. And my rocks, they're still in there. I still have my ring also. I'll find them. They're in there somewhere. We will get the band all back together again. And so the sun travels around the zodiac as appears from Earth. And so it's only in Virgo for about a month. 12 zodiacs, 12 months. Sun is in each one for a period of a month. And so you have to know when it would be. And if you were checking, thinking, well, this is Jesus. Jesus is true. I'm going to prove it. I'm going to find this sign during the Roman period time. Already done that. Can't find it. I have to check. And nope. But there's another sign that was during the Roman period time. And it's used in the Book of Mormon. 600 years from the time Lehi left Jerusalem. Hilarious. Smith Sr. was a smart man. Very smart with this Jewish Kabbalah. And so anybody who's trashing on Joseph Smith Sr., you're asses. You don't do your research. And so it's in a different month during the Roman period time. It's August to September rather than September to October that we have it now. Okay? And so then you have the moon under her feet. The moon, likewise, rotates around the earth, and so it appears on earth going through the zodiac as well, in different places during different days, in 29.4 days. And so during the period of 1 month where the sun is in Virgo, you have to have the moon at the feet of Virgo. Okay? Because that's how the sign is given by John. And so at the most, because it's 29.4 days, it's possible that you could get 2 appearances at the feet of Virgo. It's possible. So we still don't know the exact year with just those 2 indicators. But we know the time period of the month and have an extra special day designation depending on which year it will turn out to be. So now we have 12 stars on her head as the crown. Leo is the constellation on her head. Leo is the symbol of Judah. Judah is phonetically the same as Utah. And so 12 stars, 12 prophets, 12 apostles. Yeah, that's what it's referring to. However, Leo only is designated with 9 stars. And if you're going, well, no, it can be 12. No, the ancients designated it with 9 stars. You can't rig and bias the revelation. John knew it as 9 stars. Do not change it because you want it to be changed, because you don't like the answer you're going to find, because you're trying to force it to be Jesus. And so we have 5 visible planets that we can see from Earth that likewise rotate around the Earth as appearing from Earth through the zodiac. And so 3 of those are going to be in Leo. See how we did this? Sun and the moon are already taken. Now we have the 5 visible planets left. And we've got 3 of them, of the 5, they're in Leo. And so Virgo is pregnant. So one of the planets is in the womb of Virgo and comes out at the star of Bethlehem. Spica, the house of bread. And as such, there is only one planet that retrogrades for about a pregnancy period in Virgo. And it was actually 10 months. It was an extended pregnancy. It was her first. They tend to be longer for the most part. I think I was early. Yes, I was early. I think I was late. Because I'd have to look at my mom's death certificate again. But it was days, plus or minus. So I was on time, on schedule. But yeah, this was 10. Because by knowing the date of the birth, I then could go back and find the date of the conception. And wouldn't you know it, it had to do with the first year of the reign of King Zedekiah, king of Judah. In the first year, when 600 years from that year, Lehi left Jerusalem. And I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you about Abraham sacrificing Isaac and that being a story of a sign in the heavens on 8 April 4 CE. I'm not going to tell you. And thus it's 2020 years later that we have 8 April 2024, which means 2020 is when they were prophesying needed to be the year for the Exodus. And wouldn't you know it, in 2020, guess what happened during that year? Go over the story from the Exodus and see how many patterns you can match, the signs that you can match from the story. I'll give you a hint, creeping death. I'll give you a hint, parting of the waters. I was inspired. I did the videos. I was even mocked by a person who said, "Oh, I did, yeah, I waited." You missed it. That's why Mormons missed the Exodus. But it happened. The waters were parted. Creeping death appeared. And yeah, you missed it. Because you're stuck on Jesus. Alright. And so Jupiter. And we know it's Jupiter because of the Jupiter stone that Joseph Smith had on when he died. And we know it from other revelations that he talks about. lightning, the symbol of Jupiter, the symbol of Zeus as well. Hey, Zeus! Awesome, diehard. Alright, and so, yes, he's the Jewish Christ, whom Joseph Smith says will be a Mormon. So, no Jesus. Jewish scripture, not Christian scripture. The book of Revelation belongs to the Jews, not the Christians. But the Christians culturally appropriated it and changed it, replaced the Jews with Jesus. I had a Mormon who commented about not being in a faith crisis from that video I did, not understanding the video. She was in denial that the church is guilty of any crimes. I told you about that in the other last video, which I then linked her to. Otherwise, I would have banned her. Because what she was doing, technically, was an abusive comment. Because she was saying Jesus is the Christ. When anybody, Mormon or Christian, says that Jesus is the Christ, they are committing a hate crime against the Jews and against Joseph Smith. And Mormons are so dumb that they don't get it. And if they do get it, dear God, get out of my face. So, Jupiter is identified here. So we have 4 left to be identified. In verse 3, which is verse 5 in the regular Revelation, and she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God and his throne. That is the clue, because in the book of Mormon, 1 Nephi, chapter 1, the first year of the Exodus, 600 years, first year of the reign of King Zedekiah, king of Utah. We had an election in 2016, didn't we? So there was somebody put on the throne of America in 2017. Huh. But he wasn't put on by a foreign government like Russia, was he? How did I know? How did they know? And so we get to verse 8. Lehi goes home and has a vision. Heavens are opened. He's seeing a sign in the heavens. It's Revelation chapter 12. Because this is the first year. Do you see what they're doing here with the Book of Mormon? The first year of the reign of King Zedekiah, he has a vision, and it's Revelation chapter 12. Sees God sitting upon his throne, he sees the 12 following, and he sees the one, the sun at noonday, Emmanuel, Jupiter, Zeus. They're all the same person. It's just different religions, different cultures, different time periods, different languages. And so, yes, different stories. But this is one and the same. This is Jupiter, this is Zeus, this is Yah, this is Amen, the sun at noonday. So, yes, go back to your Joseph Smith visions story. Visions, not literal history. The Jewish manner of prophecy. Joseph Smith is prophesying in those visions. It is not a literal history. And yeah, and so it's a planet. It's the 5th planet. God on his throne. The father of Jupiter is Saturn. So we should expect Saturn to be in the constellation of the throne of God, Ophiuchus, where he's splitting serpents. It's the 13th constellation. And yes, China did not know this. I knew this. Nobody else knew this. In 2017, t-shirts were made showing Revelation connected to the solar eclipse, or the sign in the heavens from Revelation 12. So other people were aware of it. They were made in China, so China knew about it. And I had bought a t-shirt, showing you my t-shirt in videos. And yet none of them knew that God sitting upon his throne was part of that sign. The Smiths did. They knew. And the Joseph Smith revision corrects that by moving verse 5 to verse 3. Okay? So now do you understand? The first year is the latter days. First year. 2017. So the Book of Mormon is doing exactly like the gospel stories, in which they too are Jewish prophecies of the latter days, books of Revelation. They're not Christian. It's not about Jesus. Jesus does not exist. He was created by Constantine. Jesus is named specifically when the author of Matthew, for example, even knew the prophecy that his name was supposed to be Emmanuel, Amen, God. God Amen. Sun at noonday. Luke calls him the highest. It's the highest sun, noonday. They called him Jesus because of the prophecy of Jeremiah, chapter 23 specifically, in which he says, the man like Moses, who will be a descendant of King David, will save Shua, or Zeus, because in Greek, the us is the masculine singular form. It's a grammatical termination. So get rid of it. You have Zah. Zashua. It's Yahshua, Joshua in Hebrew. So the Shua part is save. And then Yah, Yahshua, Yah saves. That's what he's trying to talk about. He's prophesying of the latter days, taken from Jeremiah, to call the character, instead of Emmanuel, instead of Adam, instead of Noah, instead of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, David, Solomon, Samson. He's calling him Jesus, Joshua, because the book of Joshua, likewise, is a book of prophecy and revelation of the latter days. And so the character of Joshua did not exist. Neither did Moses, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Jesus. None of them existed. They are fictional characters put in as types and shadow symbolisms of Emmanuel, whom Joseph Smith said would be a Mormon. Okay? You confused? Is Jesus blinding you too much? So we now have 2 planets taken care of, Jupiter and Saturn. We only needed 3 more, didn't we? So Mars, Venus, and Mercury are going to be in Leo. And, checking my stellarium, I found 23rd September 2017. I went around YouTube trying to see if anybody else knew about it. There was one guy. And then I found the t-shirts on Amazon and bought the t-shirt. But nobody else could find the other signs that John reveals in Revelation. I did. I'm telling you. Revelation 19, 8 April 2024. And then I gave you the Abraham sacrificing Isaac one. Goes to the top of the mountain, sign in the heavens, and a messenger appears. Mercury is a messenger. And a ram appears. That's the constellation, Aries. 8 April 2024, over Russia. And so in the Middle East, it was considered a partial eclipse. And that's why they use the crescent moon. It's actually a solar eclipse. They've forgotten what it meant. And so, yes, the Smiths knew about that as well, as they used that as 600 years from the time Lehi left Jerusalem. 600 years from the captivity is 4 CE. And that's where I found it. 8 April, 4 CE. Because there's no 0 year. And thus, instead of 3, it's 4. 597 was when the first year of the reign of King Zedekiah was. Alright. And so, what was this originally? Because I don't think it was about the sign. Oh, yes, t-shirts. So I was looking, nobody else has been doing t-shirts, connecting them to John's revelations, let alone anything else in the Bible. And I've gone on to show you that Samson means sun king in Paleo Hebrew. Shemesh is the Hebrew word for sun. And the N at the end is a suffix determinative, an adjective, for king or kingdom, depending on whether it's a person or a place. So the Sun King. And so as the Sun King is his name, the stories, therefore, would have to do with solar eclipses, because there's a bunch of deaths that occur in the stories of Samson. So the first death, the lion. So we're looking for a solar eclipse in Leo. Remember the first year of the reign of King Zedekiah? 23rd September 2017? Yeah, 21st of August 2017. Total solar eclipse over America. Because solar eclipses not only give us a date, they give us location on Earth. In the likeness of things on Earth. And so that I knew when it was announced on November 4th, 2016, before the election, Fox 13 News Utah, their final segment of the day for the morning, I heard it. I came running into the bedroom, because that's where the TV was, and I dropped my jaw to the floor. I knew exactly what it meant. And that's why I began doing further research on signs in the heavens from the scriptures. Because I knew that it was indicating that we're in the latter days. And so there was a whole bunch of stuff that I needed to get caught up on. And so as I learned, I posted the videos. And July 2017 is still, to this day, my #1 video of all time. Because the church didn't like it that I came out with that video, and made sure to have YouTube silence my voice. See, if they had left me alone, I would be the voice of authority regarding scriptures. Because I am the authority for scriptures. That was my career field. I am the anthropologist of the ancient Middle East, and I am the sole authority on the matter. You know, there's people who have parts of the umbrella of anthropology of the ancient Middle East. Like you'll have Egyptologists, you'll have Assyriologists, and you'll have people who know Egyptian and other languages, Greek, etc. But I cover it all. Nobody else covers it all. And so, I have been waiting to find out if anybody knew about 8 April 2024. And they do, because of astronomy. But nobody's connecting it to the Bible prophecy. Because it's also in Samson. not just Revelation 19. Because the second, there's other deaths. I just did the one earlier this year that also came from Samson. Or was it last year? I don't think so. I think it was this year. Time passes like a dream. But the one coming up in October 14th, that's in Samson, because it's in Virgo. And it's an annular eclipse, not a total solar eclipse. Which means it's going to have a ring of fire. And what does it say happened to the death of Samson's first wife and her father, representing government, representing the right eye of Horus, the son of Osiris, who restores the throne of his father in the latter days? And that was awesome. 21st of August 2017 in the Egyptian calendar, ancient Egyptian religious calendar that I had bought after the fact. I went to that date. It's the new year in the Egyptian ancient religious calendar new year. I couldn't believe it. It was awesome. And it's not a 365 calendar year for the religious calendar. And so the new year changes every year. And to have a total solar eclipse on the new year, that's a once in an existence moment. And to have it occur in Leo, and I just, the ancient Egyptians knew, and thus all of the prophecies from the Bible came from the Egyptians. And so yes, the ancient Egyptians knew the latter days. And that's why we have the prophecies and the revelations of them. And so, Virgo, death of his first wife and her father. Because government for the right eye, religion for the left. Those are lunar eclipses, the moon. Religion, the left eye of Horus. And so 8 April 2024, yeah, you see in Revelation 19, there's a white horse flying around in space. It's not literal. It's not going to happen. Jesus is not coming down because he's already been shot. He's dead. Rapture Palooza. Hilarious. Anna Kendrick. Awesome dress. and so, yes, where does it occur? It occurs in Pisces, on the back of the white horse. The solar eclipse, 8 April 2024. 20 years later, after the 600 years from the time Lehi left Jerusalem. The Abraham sacrificing Isaac sign in the heavens. And so then you get the death of Samson. Well, Samson is the Sun King, but Revelation 19 says he's the Lamb of God. Joseph Smith does too. In the Book of Mormon too. Guess where Jupiter is on 8 April 2024? Yeah, it's in Aries. The Lamb-Ram constellation. Jupiter is in Aries. He's finished his retrograde because he's about to enter into, he's heading out of Pisces now. He's finished his retrograde on the back of the white horse, and he will begin pursuing Aries, and then retrograde in Aries, because 8 April, he's going to be at the hind legs of Aries. And so before he leaves, that's where Jupiter will be. And the sign in the heavens, the death of the Sun King. And so yes, Pisces is also his birth sign. The death is his birth sign. The death sign is his birth sign. Death sign in his birth sign And I've told you this, it's 17th of March, 1970. Because there's a whole bunch of stuff that correspond to that. As a scientist, I have to keep checking to confirm dates, places, people, events, so that I'm not biasing anything and that I'm accurate in what I do. And so yes, I do make mistakes because I keep checking. And by checking, I am able to correct the record if need be, or I confirm that yes, it is a fact. It is a fact. And so Joseph Smith knew this too. Not just because of, well, I think that was more of God's doing. Thomas B. Marsh was kicked out by the Danites. And then the Danites developed a story claiming that it was his wife and milk shredding or scrapings, and it escalated all the way to Joseph Smith, who excommunicated him. Joseph Smith was locked up in Liberty Jail. Joseph Smith had nothing to do with the excommunication of Thomas B. Marsh. In fact, Joseph Smith, when he got freed, came to the apostles and said, "Shame on you for exalting yourself, Brigham," because Thomas B. Marsh was a good man. Yeah, Brigham Young cooed the leadership that year in 1838 and took on exalted authority that he was not authorized to take. It was him who excommunicated Thomas B. Marsh, sending him a letter saying, if you do not appear on the 17th of March, 1839, you will be excommunicated. He didn't bother to show. Brigham Young excommunicated him. There was no escalation to the High Council or to Joseph Smith. All of that is a lie. And so that 17th of March becomes the Deuteronomic Law 19, verse, it's the latter end of the chapter there, in which false accusers receive the punishment of that which they had accused falsely of the victim. So March 17th became the birth date for the replacement of Joseph Smith, because Brigham Young cooed the church even too. But that's probably something more complicated for you guys to understand. That's a Jewish learning thing. You're still stuck on Jesus, where it's okay to commit crime, you just forgive them. Oh, you committed crime, I forgive you. Oh, you murdered my family, I forgive you. Oh, I'm turning the other cheek because I am illiterate. I don't know the learning of the Jews. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So, nobody else knows this information. Just me. I checked on Amazon. I bought the 8 April 2024's t-shirt already. It's coming to the new address. And there's 2 others that I'll consider buying, but we'll see. And so, yeah, I mean, the Book of Mormon is more awesome than Mormons claim it is, with the wrong interpretation of it. Put the interpretation of the Jews in there, all of a sudden your mind is opened and it's too much knowledge and you can't handle it and you have to lie down, and then you'll have dreams and visions of signs in the heavens. And then you'll wake up tired and exhausted. Yep. But Joseph's church is awesome, guys. That's too bad ex-Mormons and former Mormons don't care to learn what it was. Am I doing all this in vain? Because obviously I don't have the number of followers that Denver Snuffer has or Chad Daybell has. Does he still have followers now that he's hopefully going to get the electric chair? Or at least shot or murdered, or not murdered, to be killed. Murder is without cause. I just did the video on that with the lesson. Man, it's just stuck there, and I can't cough any of it out. And I don't know if there's anything there to cough out, or it just hurts. Anyway, need to go running. I've been able to find some of my clothes. I found the old t-shirts, by the way, of the signs in the heavens that I took pictures of and such. So. But we're getting there.